In this video, I want to show you how to make a portable, collapsible fabric bin using a Pringles chip can. And the neat thing about this is it is made out of fabric, so it can be washed if need, and it's very compact. You can actually put your pins, needles, threads, cut off scraps, or if you do paper crafting, you could use that and just turn it and place it back inside of this little area. You can of course put the lid on and off as you need it. Super simple to make. So you're going to start out with either a tall one or a short one. It doesn't matter, because you need this part so that your lid will fasten, and you only need approximately 1/2 inch of depth. If you make it any deeper, then of course, it would be this wide. But to duplicate the one that I've got made, this is just a 1/2 inch from underneath here down. So that additional 1/4 inch gives you 3/4 inch. And then of course your lid will still fasten. Now, in addition to just the lid and this 1/2 inch, you're going to need 2 rounds of cardboard, and you are going to need approximately 8 inches by 10 inches long. When you cut your fabric, choose the fabric that you really like and pay attention to which way it's flowing. When you bring this together, you can hand sew it or you can machine sew it. After that, everything is hand stitched. So if you do sew it, you're only going to be able to sew the 2 pieces, the whole round together, so that it is basically got a channel there. You'll turn it inside out and make sure that, it's just good, close enough in the seam that it's not going to come apart with a little bit of pressure on it. And it shouldn't have too much pressure. Now, as you can see how I've got that, I'm going to be placing the cardboard piece inside of the fabric. So that is why you need to make sure that it's the right diameter, and then you'll bring it up about middle ways. Just try to find the middle area of your little tunnel here, and then you're going to tuck it in so that it folds over top of that piece of cardboard, and then even up your fabric all the way around so that the 2 raw edges come together at the bottom. And keep that piece straight so that your lip's up here at the top. And that way you can be able to put your lid on later. So once you get this even and smoothed out and everything meeting down here, the next step is to put a basting stitch around this raw edge and draw it taut. I generally take and measure the inside diameter of this. So I basically, before I place this fabric on it, I lay it down on my cardboard, do a trace, cut those out, making sure I have 2 pieces, and then I'm ready to start putting everything together. So this is the first step, is to make sure that you understand why you need this to be 8 inches by 10 inches. Sewing it together, turning it inside out, and also making sure that you cut a 1/2 inch from underneath the lip here width of cardboard, and to keep your plastic lid. Now, it doesn't matter if you write on the fabric on the right side or the wrong side, but go to the inside diameter and make sure that you can see that fabric really well, either way you do it. And the reason why I'm using a marker is because it gives me a broader stroke, because once you put the fabric on, the thickness and bulkiness of it, we need it to go inside to collapse in here. So as you can see, I made that circle the same way, and it fits in there once you've got 2 layers of fabric going on that as well. And then of course the inner circle. And I'll draw me 2 of my fabric circles to put onto my boards. And doing it this size, by the time you do your cardboard, or rather the fabric to go around your cardboard, so make sure you cut on the outside of your line you drawn from the inner, because you need it to come around your piece of cardboard. For example, here's the cardboard, and I'll do the same thing. I'll put my circles, and when I cut this cardboard, I'll actually cut inside the line, and on the fabric, I'll cut on the outside of the line. Now, it's important to check your cardboard pieces when you cut them and make sure that there really is a lot of difference when you place them inside of the circle there. Because, as I said again, when you put your fabric on this and sew it all together, that's going to be hitting against the inside, so you have your collapsing feature in place. And just remember to cut on the outside of your circle on your fabric, because you're going to be pulling that up around your cardboard, and the raw edge will be towards the inside and unseen. And you'll see as we get further in. At this point, I'm just going to rough cut out my circles, kind of a fussy cut, because remember, these, you're making sure that you cut on the outside of your circle and not the inside like we did on the cardboard. So now I have doubled that up, placed my pieces inside, and ran a basting stitch and pulled it up so it looks like a cone. And then to keep this even up here, to keep it from sliding, I put me some pins here because I'll be stitching that shortly. I've also taped and basted a stitch and pulled the fabric up over the cardboard. And you'll do all the pieces that way, both of your pieces, your inside and your outside. Since I'm making 2 of these, I've already got me an extra set made. And the way this works is you can do this one of 2 ways. The way that I do it is I first go ahead and put me a stitch around this area. The pins keep it from going past the cardboard and making sure that you've got both those fabrics together on the inside there. So I hope y'all can see that real good. And I'll just take my needle and thread, and I make sure that I double it up and I put me a knot in it. That just gives it more strength and dexterity when you're using it. First, I usually go to wherever my seam, where the 2 pieces come together here, and that's generally where I'll go ahead and I start, and I just do a back stitch around that. Now with turn needle, it's real easy to do a back stitch because I know that I am just going just 1/8 of an inch, but then I put my needle more than 1/4 of an inch over, and then I just do a small little stitch there, but on the inside it's going to be looking a lot longer, and I'll show you the inside here. So see how you can see those stitches are just a little bit longer there, and that's okay because you can just easily get by that. You won't even notice it once you get it done. And so then that way I just put that small 1/8 of an inch or so, and then I come over. So once I get this done, I'll tie it off, but so that you get the idea of how I'm doing that. And so see, I have my stitch running in there, and that just keeps everything where it's supposed to be. So we're at the next step. So we've got this coned up, drawn up, and we've got our covered disc. This is how I do it to make it easier. I put one on the inside and I leave one for the outside. So I go ahead and I put the one inside. And I know this seems awkward, but trust me, it is the way that I do it. Now, when you push it up, you can see that it's flat in there. It's smooth, no problem. And then what I do, while I've got that pushed down with my fingers, if that works for you, if not, you can of course do, you know, like press and pull your hands around it like that. And if you want to, grab you some straight pins, and usually 3 or 4 is really all you're going to need. And if you go right there, you can either go right at the edge, you know, like against the edge of your cardboard, or below it, either one. And that will set that up so that it doesn't shift on you. And let me get all of this pinned. Usually we'll go to the other side and just let it slide against that cardboard, and it'll catch it with no problem. And then I usually use 4 pins, or 3 to 4, because it's not going anywhere. It really isn't going to go anywhere. So now you've got that set up. It's not going anywhere. It's just where you need it. And I take my needle and thread, and I double my thread. So make sure it's doubled. Got you a knot in the bottom. And because you have got that against that cardboard, it's really not going to slip or shift or go anywhere. It's not going to go below the cardboard. I go over here to where my seam is, where I, you know, sewed this together. And because this is quality fabric, I'm looking for my seam. Right here we go. So right there, it just comes together perfect. Look at that. You can't even tell. That's quality fabric. That's how you know you got good quality fabric, is the seams. It just meets as though right where it was cut. It's perfect. I had to hunt for it myself. So I go ahead and I do just a whipping stitch, meaning I put that in and I just keep going every little bit. Because by the time you put your bottom on here, this is going through all 3 fabrics. It's going through the 2 plus the one that's on the cardboard inside. And just do a whipping stitch. And I do go at an angle. It's difficult to do that when you're on camera and you're trying to hold it out where you can see it and me sew it. So that's good. And make sure that you just keep your stitches going there, just in an angle. And I'll go all the way around. And this is really great to do when you're sitting watching television. And see how quick you can go around there? It just takes a jiffy. Good sharp needle and your thread. And I'm using cotton thread. So just jiffy. I've got the bottom sewn on. You could turn that inside out, but if you do, you want to make sure that this piece, that the lip is that you turn it back if you really wanted to worry about sewing that. But you can see how all that is sewn. No problem. So if you turn it inside out, you know, this is what you're getting, but you won't be able to, if you put the lid on it, your lid's going to be loose. It's not going to be snug because it doesn't have that raised lip on it. But you can do that and then just turn it, like roll the fabric and then buckle it down, whichever makes you comfortable. But I sew the bottom on just the way I showed you. But see, this lid will stay on there momentarily, but if you're going to collapse it and tote it around, it's not going to stay put. Been there, done that, already know. Okay, so let me push this back through. That's I left it just like I had it. And since I already have it knotted here and tied off from where I sewed the inside bottom on. And the reason why you do that is to cover up this raw edging. Now, if you wanted to finish this off somehow, turn it under and sew it so that when you sewed your bottom on, you're done, you can definitely do that. But I like to have this smooth surface because when you're catching thread or little pieces of paper or whatever you're putting in this bin, you do not want to have to clean that all out of this. And if you finish off this edge and sew these to the outer perimeter, you can do that too. You can also make this longer. My other ones are generally taller bins than this one. This is actually short just cute. And it was just a way for me to show you how I make these bins, and maybe you would like to make you one as well. And they're super easy. And if you are new, a beginner sewing project, this is the perfect thing for beginning sewing and learning how to do turn needle and some just small projects with some scrap fabric, because it doesn't take a lot, and you could really get a lot of these out of a single fat quarter. So as you see, I have my thread already going there, and I've just took that top and laid it on there. I don't even pin it. I just hold to it because it'll stay there. It's not going to shift around, and gives me an opportunity to push anything that may have stuck out. I can just take my needle and slide it down. And I just once again start back and do my whipping stitch. Actually, that's going through the cardboard, but that's okay too. It makes sure that it stays in place. As you can see, I sew a lot. There's your example. And now it should be pretty smooth sailing. You can go all the way around there the same way. And as far as these meeting perfect, you're going to see your thread. You can hold it whichever way is comfortable for you, just as long as you catch the bottom and that piece of one. Get that a little closer for you. Hope you can see that real good. And it really just takes a moment to go around there, and you get the idea. And so it's going to take you a moment, and then of course when you have it finished, you have your inside, you have your outside, so you can see a little bit of thread that just adds to it, and then you just turn it and collapse it. If you make the bin longer, if you make this longer, and you could do this 10 by 10, and then that way, it'll come down here and it will still wind up, and it turns out beautifully. And there you go. This is how to make the collapsible fabric bin that's portable, usable, easy, and a great beginner project using just a little bit of scraps, or make several out of a fat quarter. And remember, you only need a 10 by 10 or 10 by 8 piece of fabric, and then you'll need, or possibly 8-inch piece to cut 2 circles out, and you'll need 2 cardboard pieces, and repurpose a Pringles chip can.